Hey, what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? Just a real quick video because I want to say thank you guys for all the calls last night. I think we had, I don't know how many calls that called in, 3 straight hours, absolute chaos. I think you guys probably ripped every single player on the team. Not that it wasn't deserved, not that it wasn't warranted, and, again, for all the comments that we see, everybody saying that, we're always so negative, we don't harp enough on the positive. Well, I'm sorry, we're just going by what we see. I don't know if you expect us to come on this show on Tuesday and be like, oh, well, Darnold's still a young quarterback, Adam Gase, first-year head coach, it's going to be okay, it was a competitive loss. No, we're beyond that, guys. We're beyond that. That was me the last 2 years, all right? So I get it, all right? I hate the negativity. I hate bashing the team. None of us get any joy out of it. But at the same time, that was me the last 2 years because the team was legitimately rebuilding, right? But now I think we're beyond that. We spent $100 million in the offseason. You can argue all you want how they spent the money and, guys they should have gotten versus who they got. Well, Le'Veon Bell is still an impact superstar. Jamison Crowder still had 14 catches. C.J. Mosley was still a beast week 1 before he got hurt. So the moves that they did absolutely bolstered the team. And I'm still waiting on Joe Douglas to do a little bit more on the back end. I'm going to get to the Demaryius Thomas trade in a second. But it's going to be interesting, guys. I'm beyond the competitive losses. I'm beyond saying that this team, can't win games anymore, right? Because with a good coaching effort in the second half, the Jets win that game easily. So just all the little things I want to see cleaned up, all the things that we saw from Adam Gase in Miami that we wanted him to clean up. At this point, seeing it all unravel in week 1, I think is why fans got so up in arms. The fact that he had the media spat and he was calling out some players. And, he was a little bit arrogant as far as, his game plan and, just all those little things. And, the fact that he wasn't really airing the ball out and, Crowder averaged, 4 yards a catch, which was something that we saw sometimes when we played Miami. All of those little things kind of added up to what all the Jets fans' biggest fears were. So we get the outrage, but at the end of the day, like you guys have been saying, it is still one game, right? It's still one game in a much bigger season. So I'm not completely jumping off the deep end yet. I'm not, ready to throw Adam Gase under the bus yet because that would be ridiculous. I still think he can get a lot out of Sam Darnold. I think he will get a lot out of Sam Darnold. And I think the biggest thing is allowing this offensive line some time to gel because he has the weapons. He's going to be getting Herndon back in a couple of weeks, which I think is going to be huge. But if the offensive line has some time to gel, there are some veterans on there that I think are going to keep Sam Darnold safe. And even when, there is some pressure, one of Darnold's biggest strengths is his ability to scramble, get out of the pocket, and make plays on the run. And one of the things that we were talking about last night, and I just want to get into this again really quick, there seems to be a lot of fans, and I know Tyson was also, bashing Darnold because of the footwork. And I get it, his footwork does need some improvement. But if you listen to any of the reports that we were doing throughout camp, one of the things with Darnold is his ability to make plays where it just doesn't look good. And, this is like a trait that Aaron Rodgers has. A lot of the great quarterbacks have this. And it's rare. I shouldn't say a lot of the great quarterbacks have it. I should say some of the unique ones, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, where their feet don't need to be set, their shoulders don't need to be square, they could be off balance, off their back foot, whatever it may be, but they have the arm strength and they have whether it's the knowledge of the defense or the anticipation, whatever it is, they're able to put the ball there and make the throw. So that's what I saw a lot from Darnold throughout training camp where, his body positioning looked awful, yet you still see a missile thrown 30 yards down the field towards the sideline, right in the receiver's hands. So, I think that you're going to see some picks throughout the year. And again, also, speaking on that, it has been a while since Darnold threw a pick. I think it was last year when the Jets were in Buffalo, which was his last pick, which was I don't know how many games ago. So that is a huge positive for Sam, that he is starting to limit the turnovers. But I know people are going to harp on the mechanics just because it's an easy thing to harp on, but I think that you're going to see throughout the year Darnold's going to make plays where his mechanics sometimes aren't there, and he'll make some mistakes when his mechanics aren't there, and I don't think it's, just because of that. So getting away from that just for a quick second because I got to run into work in a minute. A few transactions yesterday with the team, and I'll start with the kicker just because I really don't even care anymore. This is the Jets' third, fourth kicker now at this point, Catanzaro, Bertolette, Vedvik, and now Ficken. I don't know what to say. I don't really have any judgment on these guys. I know Ficken has some experience. He spent some time with the Rams and the Packers. If you read some of the reports from, from Packer fans, they thought he, I guess, had a solid training camp where he pushed Mason Crosby a little bit. So it'll be interesting. I mean, he's had some extra points and a couple field goals, nothing really crazy on his resume. But I'm not getting myself hyped for any kicker at this point until I actually see them make kicks in a game. It still drives me nuts how the Jets handled the situation. And again, you can blame McCagnon, you can blame Joe Douglas, you can blame Adam Gase, you can blame all of them equally. I don't really care how you want to assign the blame. They all deserve blame because this kicking situation is an absolute mess. And the fact that nobody brought in competition and, God, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, moving on to some other things. Nathan Shepard also got suspended, which kind of sucks. You know, the fact that, you know, we have a third-round pick this year that's already off the team, and then the third-round pick last year suspended 6 games, and then the third-round pick the year before was our Darnold Stewart, and he's nowhere to be found. You know, so I get where you guys are coming from with all the McCagnon bashing, and, you know, at this point, I've got nothing to say for him, you know, because too many picks are gone now, and even Perry Nickerson, who we traded for a conditional 7th, he got released yesterday from the Seahawks, so we don't even get that conditional 7th, which kind of would have offset the conditional 6th that we gave for Demaryius Thomas. So speaking on the Demaryius Thomas trade, here's another interesting move. I like it in the sense that they added a veteran wideout that's familiar with Adam Gase, that's had a couple hundred catch seasons before, that's been in the All-Pro, been in the Pro Bowl game, but at the same time, he's 31 years old, he's making, I don't know, like $3 million or whatever it is, and they gave up a 6th-round pick for him. And not that, you know, a 6th-round pick in 2021 is the end of the world, but they also gave up a 6th-round pick for the cornerback Hairston, who we haven't really seen yet. And both players, you know, Hairston especially, he was reportedly going to be getting released. And then Demaryius Thomas actually got released last week. So nothing's really changed with the Jets wide receivers other than Adam Gase had a chance to watch them in one game. So unless he's that down on Robbie Anderson or Quincy Enunwa, where he felt the urgency to make this move and put some pressure on those guys, I mean, these are the same wide receivers that you've been watching all of training camp. So when Demaryius Thomas got released last week, where were we? What were we doing? You know, so now we give up a 6th-round pick for a 31-year-old player. And, you know, like I said, I like the player. I just don't like the fact that we had to give up a future 6th-round pick to get him. Because when you look at this team long-term right now, here's my biggest concern. You have Jamal Adams, who you know you're going to have to pay. You got Le'Veon Bell, who you're already paying. And I know he's only, I think, guaranteed maybe 2 years, and I could see that being an issue because we know Adam Gase didn't want to pay him initially. But I think we already see what an asset he's going to be for Sam Darnold. So I would love to keep Le'Veon Bell here long term. You're going to have to pay Jamal Adams. You're going to have to pay Sam Darnold eventually. I know he's only on the 2nd year of his deal, but all these guys are going to be getting big contracts soon, and you're going to need guys on the back end making next to nothing, which is usually your mid to late round draft picks. And Joe Douglas was supposed to be the guy who was going to do what Mike McCagnon couldn't do, which was find those pieces in the mid to late rounds to build the depth and build the back end of the roster. So the fact that he's given up, and again, it's only 6th-round picks, I'm not going to go crazy about it. I actually loved the Alex Lewis trade, and I know that a lot of you guys were ripping Brian Winters last night. I think it's possible if Winters doesn't improve over the next couple of weeks that you could see Alex Lewis getting in there a little bit. But I just think the biggest thing with the offensive line as a whole is still just the communication. And I think once they get that down and, you know, Khalil gets comfortable and puts those guys in the right spot, I think it's going to be okay. But anyway, long story short, season still has 15 games to go. So, yeah, we're pissed off. Yeah, we're frustrated. Yeah, we're going to, you know, rip the team, which they deserve. But at the end of the day, now it's Wednesday. We're in the middle of the week. We're ready to move on. It's on to Cleveland. So make sure you guys are tuned in Friday night. We'll be talking all about that game, breaking everything down. We got Jeff Lloyd joining us. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Hopefully you guys are doing a little bit better, and we're starting to get over that loss Sunday. I know today I started to feel like, all right, you know, I'm ready to move on to Cleveland. So hopefully you guys are too. Go Jets. Talk to you soon.